Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down the side.
Welcome to the 49er Faithful UK show. A great way to start 2023 and a cracking New Year's Day battle against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders came with an ambitious game plan and made a load of big plays against an uncharacteristically generous Niners defense. But the Brock Express cannot be stopped. And supported by some chunk runs from CMC and good performances across the offense, the Niners started the year with a tough 37-34 overtime victory, just like all our bold predictions said it would be. I'm Gareth Ellis, and it's a happy new year to Paul Hope.
Hi, Gareth. Thanks for having me again, buddy. Good to see you.
Happy New Year, Najee.
Happy New Year, everyone. Hello.
Happy New Year to Nick Ludlam.
Happy New Year, guys. Thanks for having me back.
And last but not least, Happy New Year, Lee Gowland.
Happy New Year, Gareth.
Happy New Year. So
I think you caught Paul off guard there.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I don't normally get asked first. I was like, oh, thanks, Gareth. I appreciate that, buddy.
New Year.
Victory Monday. Whoop, whoop.
I'll ask you first then. So, simple question. Did you enjoy the game?
I did enjoy the game thoroughly. So I was joined by Connor Ryan. We didn't put a photograph on because I know Najee's been accused of jinxing Robbie Gould. And at the time, we were 2-2 in games we've watched together. So we decided to keep it hush-hush. But we're 3-2 now, so I can tell the world. But we enjoyed it, Gareth. We were only slightly worried when Robbie Gould missed the kick. But other than that, it was a typical NFL game for me. It was the emotional roller coaster for some because I dipped in and out of the Discord group chat. And to some people, the world was ending. But to me, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I did say the Niners would score 37 points, Alex Simpson. I just didn't see the Raiders scoring 34 points, unfortunately.
And Lee, you enjoy the start to the year?
Yeah, I thought it was a good game to watch. Definitely for the neutral, it was a good game to watch. A little bit worrying in case it ended the wrong way, but watching the game, you wouldn't believe the Raiders are where they are. The football they played. Stidham looked really good.
That's the point. They shouldn't be. That's the point of it.
And I mean, potentially the Raiders have just found their Brock Purdy.
Maybe.
Yeah. I thought it was a really interesting game to watch. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did.
Najee?
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good NFL game. Yeah, too close for us to enjoy thoroughly, I guess. But yeah, I think it's a good reminder what the NFL's like. Very small margin. We say it week in, week out, and this is what we mean. A play goes one way and not the other, and all of a sudden the score looks very different. And I think if you look at, last week against the Commanders, we could have had a game exactly like it if a couple of plays go their way instead of our way. And then they had plays that got a bit lucky. I think we'll talk about the Adams catch, no catch, whatever. There's a couple more. I think they got a bit lucky, but yeah, we'll talk about it. It was, I think, as a neutral, as Lee said, probably one of the best game of the week.
Did you get to enjoy both halves of the game, Nick?
I did. I actually I left the old adulting beverages aside for once, but no, I enjoyed the result. My blood pressure says something very, very different, but I think we've just gotten too used to being away and games being done halfway through the fourth quarter. We and that was very much, like you all said, back to the norm of what professional sport can be like.
I actually thought it was a good thing that it was such a close game.
Yeah,
because like you said, Nick, I mean, we've kind of getting used to the fact that we've been blowing teams away somewhat, and I think that game came at pretty much the right time of the season. It wasn't a divisional game, so there's no. It wasn't one of those type of slugfest, but I think it was the right time heading into the playoffs, just to give a wake-up call to some of the guys who may be getting a little bit complacent after an 8-week streak. So, yeah, I think, even though it made us all nervous, it did. I mean, let's face it, it made us all nervous. I think it was a good thing to happen, and it's great that we got the win. And you can win ugly, and a lot of Super Bowl winning teams have won ugly in the past, and that game's gone now. We can forget about that game, and hopefully for the next 4 games, next 5 games, that's it. Next 5 games, 110%. Don't take your eye off the ball. And yeah, I think it might have been a good thing.
Yeah, we'll learn far more than we will. We will learn far more from that result than we ever will to any of the other games. My only concern is how much are the other teams learning from that game as well? Because have they just given them the blueprint to beat the Niners?
No, I don't think so. Because the Chief did week 8 or 7, whatever we played them. And people have been trying and not replicating. But yeah, to me, it's not a Niners season if the last game of the season isn't massive, and it's probably going to come down to the last play against the Cardinals to clinch number 1 seed or not. Or it wouldn't be Niners if it was just easy cruising all the way. Even though I've been calling it for a couple of years now on this podcast, I think 5-6 games in a row that were easy. It was bound to bite us back at some point in a fashion. No, in terms of blueprint, and we can talk about the game. I think I don't know, I don't want to steal your thunder, Gareth, but do you want? Were you going to go defense first?
I was going to say that clearly Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs were a little bit put out, that we didn't give them much consideration on the preview show. I don't think we really talked about either of them much at all. Simple question for you then, Najee. Why couldn't we stop either of them?
Well, I do think we did stop Josh Jacob in some kind of fashion. 4.1 yard per carry isn't that. I mean, it's good. It's on the good side of what you want, obviously. It's about 3.3. But he didn't have a monster game, which he has been doing. The guy's at 2,000 yard scrimmage all through the season. So he's, up there in terms of offensive power. I think we just had a wrong game plan. We tried to stop him, and we didn't see Jared Stidham being able to fling the ball the way he did to Davante Adams, and we played the run a little bit too much, and we got caught with our pants down, essentially, being way too aggressive on the run, and forgetting that Davante Adams is very special, and there's a reason why he was so successful in Green Bay. It wasn't just Rodgers; it was those two guys, and the reason why the Raiders made the trade to get him. He's very, very good. Although I would say he got very lucky yesterday. I think his second touchdown, the one with Mooney Ward on him, I think if Mooney Ward doesn't jump 5 seconds too early, I think he gets down. And then the big catch at the end, I don't think was a catch. It was very quick review as well. I don't really understand. So bias is really hard to go around, but I didn't see it. I thought the ball moved, and then his arm moved, and then Anyway, but in terms of scheming defense, I think we just we tried to stop Josh Jacob early on, and then Stidham had a good game. Can't deny that. We weren't expecting that. They had him to throw, and they did it. So sometimes it happens, but I do think we adjusted really well. So
Lee, get away.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to weigh in on the whole catch and review. I completely agree with the refereeing as far as the tools they have. I didn't see the ball move, and even though it was obvious to everybody because of anatomy and where the ball was, that ball was definitely on the ground. You could not see the ball touch the ground. You couldn't see.
Well, I mean,
so you can't guarantee that part of his arm was not under that ball. And
the way his arm looked, it didn't look like his arm was on. That's why it didn't look like his arm were under the ball. And then he readjusts them as he's starting to roll over. Anyway, doesn't matter. We won the game.
I mean, when I saw the replay.
I had more from Packers fans last night, Lee, suddenly loving Devontae Adams than I've heard all season. And I was adamant that was not a catch. And one of my mates was Rodgers more than the Packers. You could tell he was an Adams super fan. He was like in the group chat, catch. And I was like, you've got to at least have a look at it. But I agree with what you and Nadji were saying. Like, it was difficult to see it come back. And let's face it made it exciting.
I think it would have been, had it been called incomplete in the first place, and they would have had a look at it, it would have stayed incomplete. I think it was that close to be not enough evidence. So the camera angles were terrible. I don't really understand how in a brand new $16 billion stadium we don't get better camera angles than that, but whatever.
Yeah. So I mean that call aside, what was worrying was how many times there was a wide open receiver. And I don't think it's necessarily a case of the Raiders have shown everybody how to beat us, because I don't think the Raiders did beat us. I think we beat ourselves at times. Sloppy play, not doing the job, confusion in the secondary. I don't think it was a masterclass by the Raiders by any amount. I think it's just an off game. I honestly do, which is why I was saying at the start. I think it's good to have that type of game now, and then gets everybody refocused, because you saw what happened after the Chiefs game. I mean, there was two things after the Chiefs game. I mean, obviously CMC, but obviously the defense stepped up as well, because the defense was they had the pants taken down against the Chiefs. Didn't happen again all season until pretty much last night. And then last night it was a little bit worrying to see, but again, it's just going to refocus them at the right time going into what is going to be a very difficult postseason stretch, because there are some good teams out there. I mean, we are the best. I'll put that down straight away. We are the best, but it's going to refocus the team. I think it was a good thing that we got the win, and we were able to come away and think, well, what happened there? Because obviously something went wrong, and it went wrong at multiple different levels.
I think sometimes, Lee, you've hit the nail on the head, buddy. Great players have bad games sometimes. And what I'm smiling for, and I'm sure Nadji's on the same page, we won the game. Victory Monday. For those of you listening who watch college football, there's no style points. Victory Monday. We won the game 37-34. And when you were talking earlier, Nadji, about Josh Jacobs, I heard a stat right towards the end. I think we'd allowed the most rushing yards before last night's game was 59 yards to one person. And I think Jacobs got, was it 69 in total? So it wasn't exactly a monster game given. I mean, Gareth, you're right. We didn't give Mr. Adams the love before. So who knew that the Raiders would be listening? Because, I mean, Devontae Adams was the difference, wasn't he, really? I mean, 7 receptions, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. But I said in the new feature that Eric dropped in the chat, Lee, where Eric's doing the instant reaction, and people were talking about it. And I was like, Ryan's defense is bend but not break. So Nick said at the start, is the blueprint out there? Last night, I was thinking, this is what we've done all season. We've let them get the big chunks. And then that goal line stand, that showed me, the defense is keyed in. But before we move on, I knew I had to get that in there, Nadji. Well documented that we love Fred Warner on this show, but he didn't have a great game last night, Nadji. And that penalty when he pulled the face mask.
No, I'm not having that. That one is pure unluck. It happens. It's happened to me loads. You just go for a tackle, you put your hand out, and you end up grabbing a face cage. These guys are playing so fast. Anybody who's ever played the game, it's happened to. I can guarantee you. There's no malice. There's no anything. It just happens. I'm not. This one is just. As I said,
by his own high standards. I mean, I'm using that as an example that if that comes back.
Well, no, that's just like it doesn't matter. The other one in the end zone is a bit more. He was beat, and he should have been better. Just before the end of the game. No, he didn't play that well, but he still played well enough for me. But yeah, no, the face guy, I just don't have a problem at all with it. I've got to agree with you there, actually. I've done it like 4 or 5 times in my career. It happens.
The speed of that play, it was going so quick when he reached out. It was hard not to take his hand away as soon as it hit the face mask. And obviously, he's going that quick. Your fingers are generally going to get caught in that face mask, and then there you go. I don't think there was any malice in it whatsoever. I think the speed of it.
He's actually very lucky he didn't break anything at the speed that went up. And it's easy to twist a finger in there and break something. No, I don't have a problem with that. It's just unfortunate. It would have been a 3rd down, and obviously they scored on the very next play, which is a bit annoying. But this is what I mean. And Nick's been quiet, so I'm going to ask him. But I rewatched the game, and I think there's like 4 plays on 3rd down, and obviously the big catch, which wasn't a catch. If those don't go their way, I actually genuinely think we win this game 50-, whatever we said. I genuinely think it was that close. Those conversion, a very crucial point they got. Extremely lucky. Stidham playing really well. Did you see that? Did you get worried at any point? Are you doubting our defense now, Nick?
No, I'm not doubting the defense at all. I think I said it multiple times on Twitter. I fully expected Ryans to make the changes that were needed. It was a bit more difficult than we thought it might be. But the one thing I want to take away from it more than anything is that the defense ended the game on a high. It was the defense that ultimately won the game. They got the pick with that pressure from Bosa. Brilliant. And that's the bit they need to take away. Okay, yeah, there was all this bad stuff, but they ended it right. So let's just move forwards. Let's go and sweep the division.
And I know, Paul, you're saying Adams had a monster game. What was it, 153? But if you take out that 60 yard out, I think we all agree it wasn't a catch. That's 90 yards of offense. That's basically what Cooper Kupp did. That's what D Hop did. That's what Terry McLaurin did. Like we let people do that. It's not like out of the realm of possibility that this would ever happen. And I think just these two plays, as I said, the touchdown when he was jumping too early, and that no catch, you take that away, and he has a 90 yard, 1 touchdown game, and then we're happy with it. But as I said, like the NFL is such small margin. That play going your way or the other way, and it's a different ball game. And it happened against the Commanders. I think if Heineke doesn't throw the pick, Jordan Willis, the game could be totally different if they go down the field and score on that drive. So I don't think it was that close. I mean, it was obviously, but it could have been. We should have won easily. I think we got unlucky, and they got very lucky.
Well, the reason the penalty, sorry, Gareth, the reason I was going with the way I was going, Nadji, because people were panicking. 14 points it cost us. And I wasn't trying to say Fred Warner was malice with it. I actually was defending Fred on Twitter last night. I had some non-49er fans saying we're dirty, look at the hits. And I was like, you're just winding me up. That wasn't, like you said, the speed, he reached his hand out. I think it was just frustrating because that would have been a play which, like you said, it would have been 3 and out. And I say a monster game from Adams, it was 153 yards. But like you said, it wasn't like, I wasn't sat at home thinking, oh my God, every time Adams gets the ball. But I'm glad Nick mentioned Bosa because, again, Nadji, you get the credit. You called for Bosa to make a difference. And by his own standards, it was quiet until it mattered the most. And then that moment for me solidifies Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
and I was glad
100%.
Nick mentioned that. I've been waiting for someone to mention Bosa because for me, that was the moment. And like you said, Nick, when that ball went in the air, every single one of us, Lee, was like Drake Jackson. We were like, it's in the air, it's in the air. When, he caught the ball. And then the one to Gibson, I haven't seen the game back, Nadj, I've seen the highlights. But when Bosa hits him and the ball comes out and he turns, Bosa's like that. And the way Gibson just pulls it in, like you said, Nick, it won the game. And we wanted to see whether Brock Express could hit any bumps in the road and continue. And boy, oh boy, Nadji, your boy showed last night, the Brock Express. I think he's made a convert in you, hasn't he, Nick? Nick sent me a message to me before we came live. So come on, Nick, tell the chaps what you sent me on Messenger.
Right. So, I'm Nadji's co-conductor on this train. Without a shadow of a doubt. Last night proved to me how good Brock really can be. I thought he really grew up as an NFL quarterback in the space of one game. Everything was going well. He's throwing out the passes. He's keeping the train going. We're keeping up with the Raiders. Then we have a few drive stall. We end up with a couple that we only get field goals out of. But the Raiders, they don't go away. They're sticking with it, and they end up taking the lead into the half. I think in the second half, Brock Purdy reverted back to Iowa Cyclones. Brock Purdy thinking, I've got to win this now. This is on me. I am the man. And he forced a few passes that weren't the best. He missed a few reads. There was a couple that he should have thrown to very different players, and there'd have been very different outcomes. Some extra points on the board. But then coming into the fourth quarter, I thought he calmed down. I think something clicked in his mind that just went, well, I don't have to be the man. I've got Christian McCaffrey making angry runs. I've got Brandon Ayuk taking the ball by the horns and moving forward. I just have to get these guys the ball. This isn't Iowa Cyclones football anymore. I don't have to be the big boy. I can let these other guys do it. I've got superstars around me. And that was the big thing for me. He still kept going. And obviously, perfect. I'm happy with it.
Lee, are you joining the conductors? The ever-growing list of assistant conductors.
I was just trying to find a soundboard. I'd lost it between all the videos, all the windows. So I thought at times I think Nick's absolutely nailed that description of Brock Purdy's play last night. There was a couple of throws which Nick is saying he kind of forced it, and I would have used a different term. I would have used a little bit of Jimmy in him, because that's what it looked like. There was a couple of ways I was lucky that it wasn't intercepted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he does. He just looks so good.
He does.
Yeah, and we're still at the point where we're thinking, is he going to have one of these garbage games?
I mean, he will eventually. Eventually.
Well, yeah, eventually.
Let's
hope that's pre-season next year.
That might be it. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be it. You're right. It could be it, because he did. He just looked excellent. He looks composed all the time. Nothing seemed to worry him. You saw him on the sidelines, and his whole demeanor felt right.
Yeah.
It was confident, but he knew. He was thinking to himself, right, I need to do a little bit better here, there, and everywhere, to get this game moving. He didn't panic at all, and while he was out there, he's still hitting open receivers. Yeah, yes, he did miss some open receivers, and went for somebody else. But overall, he does give you that confidence, and I think that's rubbing off on the team, definitely. And I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. He might be for real. He might be for real.
Yeah.
Which I think has probably shocked all of us, shocked the whole fan base. I'm not going to say he's going to be number one next year. I think quite rightly that Trey Lance will get an opportunity to compete for the job. Whether or not he wins that job is a different matter. But we're definitely not going to jettison Trey. But I don't think it's a given that
unless we get a crazy offer.
Well, even if we win the Super Bowl with Purdy, I don't think it's 100% set that Purdy will be the starting QB next year.
To be
I don't want to
fair,
get into this now. We've got
No, I was
plenty of
gonna
time to
say-
talk about it.
Exactly.
we're
Well,
going
down
to-
the rabbit
avoided
hole.
this.
I know where I'm going
That's
to
a
go.
whole new episode.
Yeah, we've got
just
6
wanted-
months to talk about it when nothing is happening.
I just wanted to say, Gareth, I was all in on Purdy after the Miami game. Najee and Lee were sold earlier than me. And after the Miami game, when he showed some of the stuff that I was looking for. But Alex Simpson had his notepad last night, gents, and I'm waiting for the post because we all made some bold predictions. And now I said Brock would have a game for the ages, Gareth. But you could look at that interpretation. For me, he did have a game for the ages. He bounced back. He bounced back from a couple of throws, like you chaps have said. The interception, we've seen Jimmy throw them. But, I mean, the Brock Express.
No,
rolls
we've
on.
never seen Jimmy throw that kind of pick. I'm going to stop you there. I don't have a problem with that pick. I really don't have a problem with that pick. I kind of want to hear Gareth about Brock, because you're the host, you don't speak that much, and we've been rambling for the past six games about him. I want to know what you think about.
Show.
Yeah, I know, but
That's the show.
it is. Before I start waxing lyrical about him, what did you make of him?
He's just so impressive. That's the only word I could just keep coming back to when he just goes through some of these plays and his evasion, the rolling out, and I think it was 3rd and 4 or something, and he just took Kittle for the 4 yards to get the first down. Just those sort of little decisions that he just operates the offense at a level that we've only sometimes seen from Jimmy consistently through all 4 quarters. And I think that's one thing you can hardly point at Brock having like a bad quarter or a bad half. He's just consistently, there's a bad throw here and there. There's a mistake, but he just operates at this level. And we thought, well, there's going to be a challenge if he has to play from behind. And he didn't change. It's 10 points behind, and he just continued to operate at that level. I think you're right. He did perhaps force some passes, but I do wonder whether Shanahan has given him license to and say, this game doesn't matter. I want you to grow a little bit as a quarterback. We've seen what you can do. We need to know where your the edge of your kind of comfort zone is. So I know what plays to dial up. So I think Shanahan had given him license to be a bit more ambitious. And obviously trailing 3rd quarter by 10 points, you're going to need to sling the ball a little bit. And he just seems unfazed by it all. We're just going to have to see how this continues through the however many games are left for the rest of the season. I
think we definitely found where the edge of the comfort zone was for the fan base last night.
Yeah, that's very
because
true.
there was definitely some premature premature. What's the word?
Hot takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hot takes are dangerous. Except when it's about Brock. Week 2 preseason, I called it. I knew it was good. Kinda.
Well, he shined when the lights were brightest last night, Najee. You know, he led the Raiders with 10 points up. He brought the team back, so that's what people were asking for.
He's so impressive. He's cool. He's just and this. I've noticed something when I was watching the game as well, which is not something we had when Jimmy was in the game. Is with Jimmy, we were always expecting the next play to be the mistake that would lead us to lose the game. With Brock, I'm expecting the next play to be the touchdown that's going to win us the game, and it can be on any play. Every time he's in the game, I'm thinking, oh, this one could be a touchdown, wherever on the field, almost, because he does have a bit of range problem, which I'm sure he can work on in the off season and get better at. But like anywhere we are on the field, especially with the weapons that we have, I know that he can deliver the right pass at the right time to score us a 71-yard touchdown or whatever touchdown it is. And that's just, it changes the way the whole offense plays and the whole defense plays as well, because the defense can take a little bit more risk because they know the offense isn't going to stall 3 and out or throw a pick in our run 20 and then we're back down and we're 14 points down. That ability to call everybody by just the way you play, which is what the Jets, if people are following the rest of the NFL, really needed. They've got a really good defense. They've got good weapons. They've got everything. And the quarterback couldn't get it together. And then everybody had to try and do more to palliate this. And it never really happened. And that's what the Jets are eliminated and we're not. And this ability that he has to just score anywhere on the field, I'm going to say again, it's like Pat Mahomes. He's not on the quite the same skill level that Pat Mahomes are as a physical ability. The things that Pat Mahomes can do that are just out of this world. But he's done it again. The touchdown to Josh Kittle is an incredible play. It's insane. If Pat Mahomes does this or Josh Allen does this, again, it's on every highlights ever. And he barely gets a mention. Oh, yeah, it was a good throw. It's an amazing throw. He throws it over like 4 people at the back of the end zone, rolling to his left. Every week he has one play. You just look at it and you're like, wow, this is insane. We'll talk about Trey.
I think you need to start watching Good Morning Football a little bit more because they are talking about.
Oh, they are finally, right. I don't really watch it. I don't think it's as good as it used to be. I think people will have to take notice. I'm going to say now it should be the rookie of the year, the offensive rookie of the year. I don't see who else could have it. I don't care.
To back your claim up there, Najee, and I think you took out of context what I meant. When I said Jimmy with an interception, we all groaned and we all wondered where it would go. And you're right, Brock dusts it off. But you look at his numbers.
So, yeah.
Once the 49ers faced a double-digit deficit, he was 13 for 23, 236 yards, 10.2 yards an attempt. And then when the score was tied at 27 each with less than 5 minutes remaining, chaps, 6 for 10, 118 yards, 11.8 yards. And if Robbie kicks that one over, Najee, we're looking at that drive thinking, oh my God.
That drive was perfect. So commanding. That drive was insane. And, the NFL, they always say, oh, the comeback drive, and they've got this stats of QB winning games in the last drive. And this one would have counted because we were tied, so it would have counted, I guess. And it was just everything he does. He's just amazing at it. And to come back to the pick, I don't have a problem. It's a 50-50 ball with Josh, and he did say during his press conference he didn't see the corner because the corner was supposed to be playing on the other side, and it just bailed and had a great read on it. But I want to put this one on George. 50-50 against a corner. You're one of the biggest tight ends in the league. You should win that. Or at the very least bat it down so that he doesn't get it. So I don't really have a problem with it. It's essentially a bad punt. But, if George comes down with it, we're all ecstatic about it. It's a hard throw. He's throwing across his body to the other side of the field. Should have been put more on it, for sure. I think, if it's Josh Allen, that probably ends up in the end zone as a touchdown. But, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, for everybody on the Brock Express,
Go on, Paul.
All I was going to say, Gareth, was everybody on board the Brock Express was not worried.
Oh, yeah.
So just jump on board with the Brock Express.
Just jump
me and
on.
Lee will
It's
have
going
to
fast,
collect
though.
the tickets because every other job's gone. So me and Lee are in charge of the tickets. Nick and Nadji driving it. I'm not sure your job yet, Gareth, but, you know, get your 13 jersey and jump aboard because we weren't worried. That's all I wanted to say, Gareth. Sorry, buddy.
There were some good performances by some in the support cast. CMC, obviously, we could just talk about him, I think, for another whole episode if we wanted to. But a few other names. Jordan Mason, first TD, as called by
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
Nice ball prediction, Gareth.
Davis Price also getting carries. Ray McLeod with a couple of big plays. Juwan Jennings with a couple of big catches. We've got quite an offense, haven't we?
Yeah, we do. We really do. And I think, again, sorry, Lee, Brock is enabling everyone to be good. I think that's something that maybe Jimmy couldn't do, but he's not afraid to just and heavily featured CMC in the first half, but then we had to go some other places, and then Brock was able to get it to Ray or to Jennings when he needs to. We have a very scary offense, and Debo's coming back, and Mitchell's coming back.
Don't go forgetting Danny Brunskill.
Oh, yeah, no, we were going to talk about O-line because they were awesome. Go on.
Yeah, I think one of our weapons needs to have a considerably better game than what he had last night, because I thought George Kittle was quite poor last night.
Yeah, he was.
I didn't think he was great at all. He
dropped
had some,
two.
he had some moments, but yeah.
He dropped one in the end zone, pretty much. I think he would have rolled in the end zone if he catched that.
Yeah,
there were more than a few drops. I think there were probably 4.
There was.
I think Ayuk, Jennings, Kittle, and CMC. Yeah. I think all had tricky balls, but ones they would usually be expected to catch.
Well, the one CMC should have cut down. He had it and dropped it. They need to stop catching with their body like this. They need to catch with their hand. I don't get it. Catch with your hand, people. Not with your body.
Who else on the offense? Nick, Paul, pick a name.
Line.
Okay, or we can go straight to the O line.
Yeah, I think
they are part of the offense, technically.
Yeah,
they are important
because Nick's already mentioned his name, but Daniel Brunskill came in and he was absolutely excellent. And it's good to know that we've got such good depth on the O line that when one of our players does get injured, that somebody can come in and step up. I think over the season, Daniel Brunskill has come in for a fair share of criticism, which was earned, it was deserved. But when he came in last night, he looked excellent, and he had this perfectly timed block on a CMC run. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. I thought CMC was going to have to vault over him on the way down, and then it followed another good part of that play where CMC just took the life out of one of the Raiders defenders, and you would have thought the Raiders defender just ran into a brick wall the way he went back, and that all started with this perfectly timed block from Daniel Brunskill. And I think it's good that he can just step in and play pretty much any position that we ask him to play, because he has played across the line pretty much all season now. I think the only place he hasn't played is left tackle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's amazing, and I think he might have to slot in for the rest of the season. Apparently, Banks is a bit of a bad news. Looks like an MCL sprain, so that might take him out, 4-6 weeks, something like that. If it's a high sprain, it'll be higher, 6 to 8 weeks. We'll see. It might be a very low sprain, and he'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll see. But yeah, he might have to slot in and play there. But he played really, really well. Wow, that block, it's like the Fred tackle version of pancaking somebody. It's a great block. And then McGlinchey had a great game again. Max Crosby is supposed to be this DPOI conversation guy. 0 sack. Max Crosby, I don't know if you heard of this guy. Very good defensive end.
McGlinchey's back pocket, wasn't he? I think he had,
it was.
McGlinchey was having to take him out.
Hasn't even Shanahan's come out and said he thinks Max Crosby is the second best defensive player in the league.
Yeah. After Nick Bosa.
I'm glad you gave McGlinchey some love, Nadja. I mean, the offensive line at the start of the season, chaps, a lot of people were worried last night. No sacks on Purdy. Yeah, he faced a bit of pressure, but they were creating those running lanes like CMC, like you said, Gareth. Oh, my God. What?
The Pops,
CMC.
let's see.
What a trade. You just look back at that trade, it gets better and better every game. But yeah, the offensive line for me set the tone. And I'm glad McGlinchey had a good game because I think we've been quite critical of him on this show, rightly so at times. But Max Crosby isn't exactly someone to be sniffed at. But yeah, the offensive line was great for me last night, Gareth. Gutted about Banks Nadji. I've seen that before we come on with the MCL, but that's the danger of the NFL.
That's what it is.
Is there any news on Greenlaw?
He's having an MRI for his back. Apparently, it's a back injury. But I saw him running around the sideline. I think they're being very cautious with him, obviously, because he's that good. But yeah, when we were driving down in the fourth quarter, I saw him doing sprint on the sideline. So I think he might just maybe mix next week, and we'll see. I don't want to be a doctor from internet. I have no idea. But what I saw during the game was pretty. I mean, he ran out of the pitch, then he stood up, ran out of the pitch. So we'll see. But yeah.
So a good weekend to start the year. It's also a weekend that saw both the Vikings and the Eagles lose.
I had one more point because I wanted to talk about him. I want to talk about Demo Lenore. I think he was really tested yesterday. And I think this is the first game we're really missing E-Man. Because I think had we had Emmanuel Mosley, we might have had a better time defending against Davante Adams. But I will say he was one-on-one against Adams a few times during the game. And I like that the coaching staff let him do that and put him on the spot and be like, here you go, kid. Go and defend maybe the best wide receiver in the league, second best wide receiver in the league. And I think he kind of held his own for most parts, but it is also, I think, quite a lot of work that needs to be done. He's definitely a downgrade from E-Man. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention it. It was kind of good and bad at the same time for him. But in a game that doesn't really matter, and we still won. It was good to see.
I was worried about his head movement, Nadji Lenore. He doesn't seem to get his head round enough, and that's something he's going to develop on, with the risk of penalties, and you're getting at the best business end of the season. And before we move on, Gareth, Hufanga, he did have an up and down game, Nadji, but for me, he recovered it. He's just like you said, Nadji, he's a playmaker that's aggressive, and I think the Raiders used his aggressiveness against him, but I think he adjusted well as the game went on, but by his high and your high standards, it wasn't his greatest game. But we won the game, everybody. Victory Monday. Yeah. I don't know what the doom and gloom's about. We've got in for the number one seed, as Gareth said.
Doom and gloom, yeah.
Still going.
Grant Cohen went after our performance against the Saints,
I'm
Gareth,
sorry.
because
You mean Kent?
Yeah, we only beat the Saints 13-0, but the Saints beat the Eagles last night. So I'm not quite sure about that logic of...
I called it. I said the Eagles would lose. One more thing I want to talk about, because we haven't. Kyle Shanahan, kudos for not punching it in with CMC at the end in OT and giving the win to Robbie Gould to get. So he forgets about the miss. And, that's good coaching right there. Trust your guy. 26-yard field goal is easy. Easy. It's not that easy. Yeah, I like the decision now because I was like, all right, we got CMC, just punch it in and be done with this. No, I really like to give it back to Robbie Gould. It's good.
That was the perfect opportunity for Mitch Wisnowski to fake the hole and run into a touchdown and at least get one of our ball. Even though that was a tongue-in-cheek one, I'd have liked to have seen that one work.
Yeah, that would have been good.
You got to also give Shanahan the credit, Nadji, for putting the ball in the hands on that final drive, like we touched upon earlier. We kept passing, and for me, it shows the confidence he has in Purdy. But yeah, Lee, to be honest, buddy, if that ball prediction paid off, Alex Simpson would have to turn his fan card because there's no point in calling anything out if you got that one right, mate.
Yeah. Well, that one was tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
The most
Anything else to say on the game before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm never doing another score prediction ever again for the rest of my life.
Thank you.
That's the closest. That's the closest anyone's pushed me for a score prediction, and look at what it did. It's all your fault. It's not my fault. It's your fault.
Sorry.
I don't think many people covered themselves in glory with the score prediction, but didn't Gareth say 38-27, something like that?
No, 31-9. I think.
You said
31-9.
51-9, did you? 31-9.
That's
All right.
1-9. Yeah.
31
I could have
yeah.
sworn somebody said 37.
I got
For the
37.
Paul said 37,
Paul got
Paul,
37.
yes,
10
that's
or
right.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just
Paul-
didn't see
Paul.
the Raiders getting the rest.
Paul, the soon-to-be double fantasy champion. Very first time that's happened in the 49th UK leagues.
Whoop, whoop. Well done.
I hope I haven't jinxed that for you, of course, mate.
Oh,
Because
you
you still have to get the
definitely
points
have.
tonight.
Definitely have.
But he looks odds-on favourite to win the Champions League.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff. So there we are. The Vikings and Eagles also lost at the weekend. Number 1 seed is potentially there for the taking.
Yeah.
Only the small matter of the fading Arizona Cardinals at home. So I think we'll be back later this week to do a preview show. Looking forward to the season finale already. Can't believe 18 weeks have gone by as quickly as they have.
We need the Giants to do us a favour as well. Come on, New York Giants. You can beat the Eagles.
Yeah. It's not like double to put people to rest people. I hope they don't.
He's
do
already
that.
said he's not. He's already said he's
Yeah.
not resting any
I think
starters.
it's because it's the Eagles. They're gonna try and ruin their postseason experience.
Yeah,
so
this is a huge rivalry, this game.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I think it's what I called my friend that's a Giants fan. I said to him, the Eagles are gonna play Hurts, and he's gonna get hurt again because he's not 100%, and then they're gonna lose, and then they're gonna lose again first game in the playoffs.
Yeah,
And
I
we
completely
will
agree
have
with that.
That
number
is
1 seed.
bold. The
That's what I
timing of the game is yet to be decided. So
Yeah.
it is possible we'll have that at, say, 6 p.m. kickoff. And then maybe the Eagles Giants be later or possibly a primetime game.
I think we will all play at the same time to avoid
Yeah.
anything happening. So the Vikings, Eagles, us, Cowboys. That's about it, isn't it? Yeah, that's the 4 games that matter really for the spots. We'll play at the same time, as well as the Detroit Packers and Seahawks, whoever they're playing, Rams. That'll be at the same time as well to avoid any calculations and all that kind of stuff.
So they've just announced the 2 Saturday games. So the Titans play Jacksonville, and I think the winner of that's in. And the Chiefs play the Raiders on Saturday night. But like you said, Nadji, I think all the games on Sunday. They're not confirmed yet, Gareth. So we'll let everybody know by the various social media platforms that we use. As soon as we know what the game is,
do yourself a favor and do not watch Kansas City Raiders. That's going to be atrocious.
Thank you, gents, for joining me. And thanks to
you.
everyone that listens to the show. And especially thanks to those that like, subscribe, comment, and share our little 49 The Faithful UK show. So we'll be back next week or later in the week to look ahead to that Cardinals game. Until then, Happy New Year again, and go Niners.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Nana gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down the